Chapter 6: The Hunter's Arrival. When all seems lost, a strange hunter arrives at the cabin. He introduces himself as Anthony, an exorcist who knows how to deal with evil spirits. Anthony explains to his friends that the summoned demon is an ancient and powerful spirit, and that they need to act fast before it's too late. Together, they prepare a circle of protection and begin the exorcism ritual. As Anthony recites the prayers and gestures to banish the demon, Sarah begins thrashing wildly, trying to escape the circle. John, Mary, and Tom hold Sarah tightly while Anthony continues to fight the evil spirit. The cabin starts to shake and objects fly through the air, but Anthony doesn't give up. He uses his knowledge and skills to keep the demon at bay, despite the incredible power it wields over his friends and surroundings. After hours of struggle, the exorcism finally comes to an end. Sarah appears to be free of the demon's control, but the evil spirit is still present and seeks revenge on those who summon him. Anthony warns his friends that they are still not safe and that they need to leave the cabin immediately. Together they try to flee, but are confronted by the demon in its most terrifying form. They realize they have no choice but to fight for their own survival. Chapter 7: The Exorcism. Exorcism is an intense battle between the exorcist and the demon. Meanwhile, John, Mary, and Tom struggle to keep Sarah under control. Tensions are high and the situation seems increasingly hopeless. The exorcist begins reciting the sacred words in Latin, causing the demon to react with fury. The evil spirit's voice is guttural and frightening, as if several demons are speaking at once. The cabin begins to shake and objects are thrown through the air, as the demon tries to break free from Sarah's body. John, Mary, and Tom try to hold Sarah, who is struggling hard and trying to bite and scratch everyone around her. They know they have to hang in there, but the fight seems to last forever. Sweat pours down their faces and their clothes are torn and bloody. The exorcist continues to recite the holy words, looking more and more exhausted but determined to cast out the demon. The atmosphere is tense and the silence is broken only by Sarah's screams and the exorcist's words. Finally, the demon seems to give in and the possession begins to subside. Sarah's body relaxes and she passes out. The exorcist continues to recite the sacred words for a few more minutes, until he finally announces that the demon has been expelled. John, Mary, and Tom let out a relieved sigh and hug each other, feeling the relief and happiness of having won the battle. However, they know that the fight is not over yet and that the demon may still seek revenge. The exorcist advises that it is important to keep your guard up and be prepared for future attacks by the demon. He also asks them to make sure the Satanic ritual book is destroyed so the demon can no longer be summoned. Chapter 8: The Demon's Revenge. The exorcism is successful, but the battle with the demon is not over yet. The evil spirit seeks revenge on those who summoned it and begins to attack friends even more violently. They find themselves trapped inside the cabin, with no way out and no apparent option on how to escape the demon's wrath. As the demon attacks with all its might, John, Mary, and Tom try to protect Sarah, who seems to be under the evil spirit's complete control. With each onslaught of the demon, the hut is shaken, furniture is thrown to the ground and objects are broken. The environment is filled with a strong smell of sulfur, and the sound of demonic screams echoes in the corners. The mood in the cabin is one of tension and fear, with everyone on high alert, waiting for the next attack. John, Mary, and Tom take turns keeping Sarah in check, but she seems to be growing weaker and more vulnerable to the demon's control. Meanwhile, the demon seems to have found a way to interfere with the friends' minds, creating frightening and disturbing visions. They have the feeling that they are being watched by demonic eyes everywhere, and every moment, they feel more pressure to fight evil. As the hours pass, the situation becomes even more chaotic. The demon begins to taunt the friends, stirring up fear and despair in their hearts. But they cannot give in. They cannot let fear overwhelm them. They must find a way to fight the evil spirit, or face certain death. As they prepare for the final battle, they realize their only option is to find the Satanic ritual book and destroy it. But where was the book? They can't remember where they left it after they've tried the ritual. The tension is palpable as the friends prepare for the final battle. The demon seems to be gaining strength, leaving them weaker and more vulnerable. The situation seems increasingly desperate, and they begin to wonder if they can survive another onslaught. Chapter 9: The Desperate Escape. After the exorcism, the friends tried to flee the hut, but were pursued by the demon. The exorcist hunter led them through the forest, but the evil spirit caught up with them and attacked the group, killing the hunter and seriously injuring Tom. They took refuge in a nearby cave and realized that they had no option but to fight for their own survival. The cave was dark and dank, with uneven walls and a claustrophobic feel. Jane and Mary tended to Tom's wounds while John kept watch at the entrance, watching the demon that was still outside the cave, trying to find a way in. Friends were in a panic. The feeling of helplessness and fear was overwhelming. They had no one else to help them, and their chances of surviving seemed to be getting smaller and smaller. Hunger, thirst, and cold were starting to take their toll on them, but the biggest concern was the demon that was lurking outside. Tom was unconscious from his wounds, and his condition was getting worse. Jane and Mary were doing their best to take care of him, but the situation was critical. They needed to find a way out of there, but the chances seemed slim. John was fighting sleep. He knew he needed to keep his vigil, but fatigue was starting to get the better of him. He tried to stay awake, but with each passing moment, it got harder. Meanwhile, the demon was still prowling around the cave entrance, trying to find a way in. The fear that the group felt increased every time they heard their screams and moans. Chapter 10: The Last Battle. With the demon still chasing them, the friends prepare for the final battle. They use everything they can to fight the evil spirit, but they seem to be losing the battle. In a moment of desperation, Jane comes up with a risky idea that could be the key to defeating the demon once and for all. But will they have the strength to overcome the evil that haunts them? The friends fight with all their might against the demon, but they seem to be losing the battle. The evil spirit is powerful and relentless, and its attacks are becoming more and more intense. They know they must find a way to defeat the demon once and for all, but it seems all of their tactics are useless against the evil that haunts them. In a moment of desperation, Jane has a risky idea. She remembers a story her grandfather used to tell about a holy relic that can banish evil. The relic, according to the story, is hidden in a cave near the hut. Jane decides it's time to get the relic and try to use it against the demon. The friends agree, and they set off in search of the cave. Meanwhile, the demon continues to pursue them, launching increasingly powerful attacks. They arrive at the cave and find the holy relic, but are
Access our
confronted by
channel
the
to
demon.
see the second part.
Jane uses
Until
the
then.
relic against the demon, and the battle finally comes to an end. The evil spirit is banished forever, and the friends manage to escape the hut. They gather outside, exhausted and hurt, but relieved to have survived the ordeal. And that's the end of this story. But is it really over here? If you're curious and want to know more, don't worry, we have Volume 2 waiting for you. In it, we will further explore the characters and their stories, with lots of action, adventure, and surprises. So don't waste time, subscribe to our channel and be sure to check out the next chapter of this incredible saga. Until then.